What was the biggest mistake you've ever made? Ordering something online without checking the dimensions? Or maybe you forgot your anniversary date and your special someone got really mad? Well, you can tell them some people make way bigger mistakes, like losing billions of dollars, accidentally throwing Boeing planes in the water, or misplacing a space orbiter. What if I offered you to buy a vacuum cleaner and get a free flight from Europe to the US as a bonus? This was a real offer, but in the 90s. There was this Hoover company that was so popular at some point that hoovering was a synonym for vacuuming in the UK. But then, competition in the vacuum market became too high, and they wanted to win back the hearts of their customers. So they paired up with a travel company and offered people to buy their products for around $400 in today's money and get 2 round-trip plane tickets from the UK to different destinations in Europe. The idea worked, and they decided to expand it to destinations in the United States. Hoover's factories had to work without days off to keep up with the demand. I know what you're thinking. How would it pay off for the company if they were actually going to take thousands of people across the ocean? Well, they introduced so many rules and requirements to claim the tickets that they were sure not so many people would apply. But they were wrong. Even having to book the hotel in the States before getting the tickets didn't stop the 300,000 people from applying. As a result of all of this, Hoover's parent company in the US had to pay millions for all those tickets, and still, thousands of people never got them, and they had to sell Hoover Europe to an Italian competitor. Volkswagen once got caught for selling cars with a defeat device in America. This sneaky software in diesel engines was able to detect when the car was being tested in a lab and switched into safety mode. It changed how they were performing to show how awesome they were. When it went back on the road, the engine was in normal mode again, with much worse performance and emissions up to 40 times above what is allowed in the US. The company admitted that around 11 million of their cars around the world came with that defeat device. Volkswagen had to buy back about 350,000 of the diesel vehicles it sold in the US. Now that's a lot of cars, and you can't just pack them in your backyard. So they had to spread all those cars across 37 remote storage facilities in America. One of them is a former football stadium in the Detroit suburbs. Another one, an old paper mill in Minnesota. And there's also a giant patch of land in the California desert. Imagine all those cars standing there and rotting day by day. So sad. In 1999, 2 Stanford graduates decided to sell their brainchild, a search engine you most likely use every day. They were trying to grow it into a huge business, but were missing funding. So they were hoping someone else would help it take over the world. They knew that Excite, a meta search engine, had recently purchased 2 other search engines. They wanted to give it a go and set the price of $1 million. The company's CEO, George Bell, declined the opportunity, even after they agreed to lower the price by a quarter. Sounds like a regular story of failure. But what if I told you the names of those 2 graduates were Larry Page and Sergey Brin? Yep, I'm talking about the founders of Google. They received $25 million from investors the same year. Google became the most frequently used search engine worldwide. Alphabet, Google's parent company, has a total value of more than $2 trillion. In case you don't juggle such numbers on a daily basis, a trillion has 12 zeros. So why would George Bell refuse to buy something as brilliant as Google? Turns out, Larry Page wanted Excite to remove all other search engine technologies from their website and only use Google. Bell couldn't let a beginner entrepreneur tell him what to do. Plus, he didn't see a huge difference between Google and their existing search engine. Excite hasn't been updated since 2021, and let's be honest, you've never even heard of it, right? In 2014, A train on its way from Wichita to Washington State derailed in the Montana wilderness. No one was hurt, and the incident would go unnoticed if only that train hadn't been transporting Boeing's 737 fuselages. Boeing has a complex supply chain, so parts get delivered from different places before assembly. 19 out of 90 train cars derailed right into the Clark Fork River, and that's how 3 fuselages went for an unexpected swim. It's not something you see every day driving to work. Another 3 got damaged. All of the fuselages were later scrapped, so it was a total loss. And since one Boeing 737 is worth around $90 million, we're talking about $540 million here. It was 14% of the company's monthly production of this type of plane. The train carrying all that wealth definitely wasn't speeding, as there was a speed limit of 35 miles per hour on this curvy section of the track. Boeing's experts started an investigation of this case. They thought it could be poor train handling by the conductor or improper loading and stacking of the cars. But simulations showed that it was probably caused by a track misalignment. Heavy freight trains can degrade track geometry, and bam! The tracks can no longer function the way they should. The next time you lose your keys again, remember a Mars orbiter once got lost in open space. Did I mention that the orbiter was worth $125 million? It all happened because one engineering team used English units of measurement, and NASA's team used the metric system to control the expensive gadget. So, the navigation information got lost somewhere on its way from the Mars Climate Orbiter spacecraft team at Lockheed Martin in Denver and the flight team at NASA's lab in Pasadena, California. Experts said just one error like this shouldn't have caused the loss of the orbiter. So something must have gone wrong in their system of checks and balances. And that's how, instead of celebrating the spacecraft's entry into Mars orbit, the engineers had to frantically try to fix something. After traveling for almost 300 days, the probe fired its engine and got too close to Mars. It didn't burn completely though, so it most likely continued its journey but in the wrong direction. It headed for the Sun perhaps. The orbiter had an important mission to relay data about the history of water on Mars from the Mars Polar Lander. Now you know who to blame for still not moving to the red planet. An IT engineer from Newport, UK, spent 10 years trying to get back its lost hard drive. And nope, it's not because he has a million photos of his cat on it, but because of nearly 8,000 units of cryptocurrency hiding there. The man says it was worth around $5 million when he binned it by mistake. By now, its value has grown to around $285 million. The hard drive with all that wealth on it is probably still in the city landfill. Howells wrote several petitions to the city council to grant him access to the dump. He even promised to donate a quarter of the funds he could find to the local community. But they aren't too excited about the idea of digging up all the trash. Or maybe they just want to find the treasure themselves. Howell did some math and narrowed down the area where they'd need to dig based on how long the hard drive had been there. He hopes to take a disused section of the dump and use AI to scan it on the conveyor belt and finally find the hardware. Sorry, but I have to go now. I have a plane to catch that will take me to the Newport landfill. I hear it's beautiful this time of year.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.